their meat. So I have been asked if the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, which is a ceremonial magic ritual, one of the most basic ones that basically the ones that made it popular were the Golden Dawn. And it's one of those that are recommended for beginners. And really I recommend them for anyone really who is interested in magic. It's a great ritual. But anyway, I was asked if it is a fully functional circle casting and can be used instead of a more traditional Wiccan, neo-pagan circle casting. And yeah, I would say so. It is basically very much inspired by the same sources where the typical Wiccan circle casting comes from. It calls the quarters and creates sacred space. So basically, in most typical neo-pagan witchcraft circle castings, what you will do is that you will first cleanse space in some way. Some people do a lot out of this with salt water, first creating holy water, sprinkling it around, and basically others do it very, very simply and perhaps just sweep the place or just envision a bubble of white light, otherwise create a clean space spiritually and also physically. Then most will make some sort of circle and envision it either as a circle as a bubble, and then call the quarters as in inviting the elements, and then you invite whatever gods and goddesses and entities. And basically that's exactly what the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram do. So what you will do is that it has 4 parts. You will begin with the Kabbalistic cross, which is basically a way to center yourself. And one thing that some Wiccans might have a problem with, and neo-pagans in general, is that it uses a very Christian terminology. So basically, the Kabbalistic cross, it centers itself and makes you the center of your own personal universe, your microcosm. But it uses basically the end of the Lord's Prayer, but in Hebrew. And yeah, my pronunciations suck enormously. I know I'm horrible at pronunciations. Anybody who's seen my book reviews knows that when I'm trying to pronounce the author's names. So yeah, bear with me. It's basically you envision yourself getting larger and larger, then eventually getting larger than the planets and the solar systems and basically the galaxies, and growing and growing and growing until you see a brilliant white light, a great energy that you draw into yourself and draw into your head, and you say Ata. Then you draw it back into and yes, you vibrate these words. At least that's what the Golden Dawn do. I am not very good at vibrating. It's basically a form of technique that is somewhat similar to chanting. So it will be but since we are not doing the ritual here, the words will do. Then you basically envision it going down into the ground, into the center of the earth, and you say Malkut. Then you basically send the energy out as far as you can to the right, and it's Vigbora. The pronunciation Vigbora. And you do the same on the other side, Vigdora. And it's basically for yours are the kingdom and the power and the glory. And then you end with having your hands in front of you in a prayer position. And you say, Leo Lamen. Amen. For yours are the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. And basically what this does is that, at least the way I see it and a lot of other occultists see it, is that you're not really praying to an external God, but the God within, your holy guardian angel. And if I seem a little bit scatterbrained, it's because it's been a pretty bad week for me. So bear with me. I thought that a little bit of a bad video was better than no video. So my old cat has been ill. She's getting better now, but it's been quite a ride. Anyway, a lot of Telemites at this point also intone the name of Crowley's holy guardian angel Iwas, or the name of their own. I don't do that, but basically the way I see it is you're not praying to a god, you're praying to your inner god, and as such making yourself the center of your own universe, and it's very centering. Then comes the section, the two sections actually, that are more similar to neo-pagan circle casting. Basically, you will first go with god names. At the fork, basically, you form pentacles. And usually here you use the Banishing Earth pentagram, but you can use others if, for example, you have a tendency to just be thinking too much. You might use a Banishing Air pentagram instead, but a Banishing Earth pentagram, since we are on the earthly plane, is generally the best one. And this is meant to basically clear up any spiritual clutter, any psychic clutter from your sacred space. And you seal this by the formation of the god forms, which is a little bit hard to do. While sitting, basically, you sort of push it outwards. If you search for the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, you can find drawings of what you're supposed to do. And you have 4 god names at each corn this quarter. In the east, you have Yadhei Vahei, basically the 4-letter word of God. And yes, this is still going with a very Christian Hebraic idea. So you basically form the pentagrams, then you push it out to the center of the pentagram, and you basically, by that, banishing everything that's not welcome from the east. And then you go to the south. And here you intone Adonai, which just means Lord. And again, you banish it, basically you push it outwards, and anything that's not welcome there, any negative energy from yourself, from your holy space. And then you go to the west, and you intone Hey, which is basically I am. And you do the same thing, and basically banishing everything from the west that are not welcome in your sacred space. And then you go to the north, and you intone, in here, how it is pronounced varies a little bit. It's Aglaia is basically what I'm saying. It's a shortening for a phrase that means you art mighty, my lord. So you might go with that instead. It's basically 4 names of God, and you push out anything negative. So there you have the cleaning of the space. And then you have the calling of the quarters, where you called in the archangels. So basically, however you want to envision them, you visualize the archangels, and before you at the east, you intone the name of Raphael. And you say, before me, Raphael. And then you do the same at the at the south, but this time you envision the word every way. You envision Michael, and you say, and then you intone the names instead of basically saying them. Unless you, like me, have a really problem with vibrating words, and sometimes just saying the words with emotion just works better instead of being frustrated about the vibrations. But anyway, you say, at my right hand, Michael. And of course, Raphael is the elemental guardian of air. Michael is the elemental guardian of fire. And behind you, you envision Gabriel, and you say, behind me, Gabriel. And of course, he or she sometimes is the elemental guardian of water. And to your left, you envision Uriel, in whatever way you feel is appropriate to envision him or her. And you say, to my left hand, Uriel. And then you form a pentacle with your body, basically, by stretching your arms out, making the basically human man thing. And you envision a flaming blue pentagon around you, and you say, for before me flames the pentagram. And then you envision a six-rayed star inside of you. And while this is a symbol of Judaism, it is also a symbol of the Hermetic principle of as above, so below. And you say, and inside me shines the sixth-rayed star. And then you finish with repeating the Kabbalistic cross, centering yourself again. So, yeah. In this, you don't take the circle down. Usually, the way you basically you finish up the archangel part, you basically finish up the complete ritual, is that you sort of, you know that the pentacles are still there, always around you, protecting you, but they sort of slowly fade from your view. They're there, but you're not seeing them anymore, and you're done. So you don't have that typical thing in a Wiccan circle casting where you then take the circle down again. But you have a lot of the same ideas. You form a circle. You can definitely envision then the circle that you make with the pentagrams as larger than just around you, but closing your working space. And you can then envision them, and then basically the calling of these archangels are basically calling of the quarter guardians instead of saying sylphs and salamanders and undines and gnomes. You're using the archangels. So it's Raphael, Michael, Gabriel, and Uriel. But it's basically you're calling the guardians of the quarters. And in many ways, why this is so similar is that there is a lot of those that worked on creating Wicca, and from that modern neo-paganism, the way we know it today, were originally ritual magicians. For example, a lot of Wiccan ritual was actually written by Aleister Crowley, who was a ritual magician. So there's definitely something very similar there. So how I would do this if I was going to do, for example, a full moon ritual. This was full moon yesterday, so let's use that as an example. But instead of a typical circle casting, I wanted to use the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram as that circle casting. The way I would do it is that I would do the Kabbalistic cross as normal. I don't have a problem with using the Christian symbolism, because to me, basically Jehovah, the Christian God, is just one more face of the god. So I would use that. And then I would do there's 2 ways I could imagine doing it. Then I would basically go through the entire ritual. Then I would call the gods and whatever other spirits I needed to call. Complete my ritual, and then do another banishing ritual of the pentagram to finish and close things down. Since you don't have a closing of the circle, that would be one way to do it. The other way to do it is that I would do the first Kabbalistic cross, then the formation of the pentagrams to clear space, then the calling of the archangels to cast the circle itself, envision it not just around me, but by entire working area, then call the goddess and the god and whatever entities I needed to call for my ritual, and then finish it up with the second Kabbalistic cross. That's also a way to do it. Generally speaking, I don't do it like this myself. I do the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram daily, but I generally use, when I do pagan ritual, I tend to call more pagan entities, and I do like to cast the circle using the ideas of basically sylphs, salamanders, undines, and gnomes instead of archangels when I, for example, do a full moon ritual. But you can definitely use the lesser banishing ritual for this, and just finish it up with another Kabbalistic cross or another complete banishing ritual to complete your working. The rituals are from the same source, so it's not like you're something completely different. It is the same thing. One nice thing that could be a boon in using it for a pagan ritual is that within this thought, often Raphael is seen as the Lord of Spring, and Michael is seen as the Lord of Summer, and Gabriel is seen as the Lord of Autumn, and Uriel is seen as the Lord of Winter. And as such, as you cast the calling of the archangels, you're going through the entire Wiccan wheel of the year, marking off each point with calling the archangels, so you have a little microcosmic wheel inside your circle casting, which is sort of nice. So yeah, you can definitely do this if you want to have a simple way to combine ceremonial magic with Wiccan ritual, and it can also be a very nice, very spiritual way of casting the circle. So yeah, I might try it once and make a video about how it works. But like I said, usually I use another method for circle casting for pagan ritual, but you can definitely do it. So yeah, I hope this video has been useful to you, and have a great day, and blessed be.